Staying small is what will kill you, not starting small. Staying
Mm.
small will kill you.
Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation.
So on today's episode, we're going to unpack starting something new and how to get over the mindset of wanting to instantly be big and be successful. Because when you start something new, you have to start small. And honestly, sometimes starting small, it sucks. It feels, at least for me, it makes me feel inferior. I'm like, I want to get to this big goal and I want to get there instantly. I want to get there tomorrow. And a lot of times that deters me from even starting. For example, we had a previous episode where Justin, you and I were talking about starting an email newsletter. And my mind instantly went to successful newsletters. And I looked up The Hustle, which is a very popular newsletter that grew to over 2 million subscribers. And the guy sold it for 8 figures to HubSpot. I mean, it's just, people call it a masterclass in digital marketing. So I instantly, the minute I think about me starting a newsletter, I compare myself to that, where he's at the end of the road. And then a lot of times I'm just like, well, I'll start when I can. I guess in my subconscious mind, I say to myself, well, I'll start when I can be at that level. But that's not how life works. We have to start small with everything. So I would love to hear, like, do you experience that same type of thought pattern and how do you approach that?
The only thing I can picture right now is a baby being born and looking at an NBA player saying, why could I not be born 7 foot tall? Because that's essentially what you know what I'm saying? That's essentially
Yeah.
what you're describing. But I mean, you said it's starting something sucks. Whether that's starting a newsletter where you're wanting to grow your subscriber database, whether that's starting a new gym routine, getting back into running when you haven't been running. I'm sure a lot of people have had a great festive season over the last few weeks or the last couple of months, and some of your fitness may have either taken a great leap or taken the back seat, and now you got to get that started again. And it sucks as a starting point. And immediately what comes to mind for me is I heard a great line by Chris Williamson on his podcast, Modern Wisdom. And he said, you need to fall in love with the rise, not the result. Fall in love with the rise and not the result. So that's what jumps out at me. It's what are you wanting when we say we want to start this newsletter, and it's hard now because we're looking at that result of something like The Hustle. Are you wanting to, what have you fallen in love with? The idea of having a newsletter that gets 2 million subscribers and you're able to sell it, or you loving the idea of doing the work and putting in the effort, the rise, the process, and understanding that and getting, hopefully, maybe, who knows, to that point where you're able to. So you've got to love the process, got to love the rise, got to love the doing, not just the being. And I think that will help massively in that moment of, man, this sucks. Yeah, it sucks. But you're embracing the suck because you love that. That's the part that you love. The result, that's not necessarily what you're all about.
Yeah, that's a good hack. It still makes it tough. Another approach that I do try, another mental hack that I try sometimes that maybe our listeners would find beneficial is, have you heard that Arnold Schwarzenegger story about when he was big into bodybuilding and he noticed that he lost a competition because his calves were too small. So instead of being ashamed and covering up his calves, he made sure to wear shorts so that he would be embarrassed by his small calves in the bodybuilding community. And that embarrassment motivated him to build up his calves. And he would go in there and do like 1,000-pound calf lifts and go all out to increase his calves. So he went, he intentionally showed off the small so that he could, as motivation for him to make it big. So maybe that's another hack that I do try sometimes. Because the thing is, another thing that helps me is remembering that nobody's really watching. If you start small, what do you have to
Yeah,
lose? Nobody's really watching anyway. Like
exactly.
you put something out there and maybe 3 people see it. More than likely, 0 people are going to see it at first. So there's nothing for you to be embarrassed about, right? You just keep going, you keep iterating and getting better and better. By the time somebody hears about it, it might be 2, 3, 5 years down the road, and all of a sudden people think you're an overnight success, but really you've been putting in work for the past 10 years. That's how a lot
Yeah.
of these things work.
And I think people love the effort. So you've also got, I suppose, if we're speaking about what are mental hacks, or how can you apply your mind, or what lens can you look at it through to say, to get yourself feeling differently about it? It's people appreciate effort. People love a story. So you are busy creating that story. If you just went from, and I'm going to stick to the newsletter topic, but if you just went from no subscribers to 2 million subscribers, it's not a very interesting story.
Mm.
Well, maybe it is, because I'd be very curious to know how you went from naught to 2 million. But you know what I mean? So people like the idea of, well, how did you, well, whatever you're starting small with, like, what was that process around, let's say, the hero's journey? Like, what did you have to do? That's easy to speak about, and people embrace that, and people love like the underdog story. So somebody who's starting
Yeah.
small, you're going to have a lot of people wanting to help you, take you under their wing, mentors, whatever, show you the way that they did it. Whereas if you lose out on a lot of that if you've just gone from
Yeah.
starting to big
I think what you're
immediately.
saying is it's kind of like if someone, let's say someone's a billionaire and you say, well, how did they gain their wealth? If they say, oh, well, I hit the lottery. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
or if they inherited it from their parents and grandparents, it's like, but if they worked hard and built it up from scratch and they were homeless and they overcame all these struggles and now they're a billionaire, then that's that much more impactful. But it's that journey that makes it interesting.
yeah,
That I get what you're
yeah.
saying there. I love watching documentaries and podcasts about comedians lately. So I was
Mm-hmm.
watching Kevin Hart on Diary of a CEO, great episode. And I was watching the documentary about Eddie Murphy that's on Netflix. I think it's called Being Eddie, I believe is the name of it. And yeah, it's Being Eddie. And what I love is to hear about those early moments in their career where they were performing at these hole in the wall comedy clubs. And Kevin Hart said he was doing like 20 shows a weekend, like just always working hard, wasn't getting paid for most of them, but he was following his passion. He was doing the process. Nobody knew this guy, just getting stage time, stage time, stage time. And now look where he is. I mean, he's one of the most recognizable names in the world. He's a superstar. I don't know if he's a billionaire yet, but I'm sure he will be. So,
Yeah.
but that I love to go back to those beginning moments in the documentary and see where were
Mm,
they. That really resonates with me and it
yeah.
gives me a lot of inspiration.
Yeah, I suppose we need to reframe it as well as not starting small, but starting and then growing. It's starting and improving. It's starting and honing your craft. It's starting and putting in the reps. Um, Even to go back, I mean, you mentioned Arnold, but to go back and look at bodybuilders, I don't, yes, they'll have an idea of where they're wanting to get to, but they're also looking at their gains week on week. Okay, how is my weight increasing on my bench or my squat or my deadlift, whatever? Hey, like over the last couple of weeks, I've had a 25% increase in the weight. Okay, I'm improving. I'm moving towards the thing. So I think that's huge as well. When you speak about starting small, it's, you know what, staying small is what will kill you, not starting small. Staying
Mm,
small will kill you.
mm,
If we can see that, yes, I started small, but I've gained some subscribers, or hey, my carbs are growing, or hey, I'm doing this. Now we've got momentum, we've got movement. That's great. But if
mm.
we start small and then 3 weeks later we're like still pushing the same weight, 3 months later still only got 3 subscribers, that's what's going to kill somebody.
Yeah, but then you hear these people like that they're small for a long time. I hear this with a lot of YouTubers. It's like they might be small, and I guess maybe they see incremental growth for like 5 years, and then all of a sudden it just takes off. It just skyrockets. But it's because they've built up this kind of a compound following over time. So yeah, I guess if you're doing something over and over every day and you're seeing absolutely no results, then you either need to change your process or just like do a completely different thing, stop doing what you're doing, or change something about your process. You don't want to keep doing the wrong thing, because obviously you need to see some results, right? If you worked out every single day and never saw any change in my body, that would be very discouraging. So you make a good point there. We have to measure and we need to iterate, and then we need to come back and double down on what's working and do more of what's working so that we continue to compound those positive results. And then when you look back 5-10 years, it's a complete transformation.
No, I think that's spot on. That's exactly that. Exactly that. So what's the king move? How do we round this one off?
Yeah, I think we've given people lots of tips, lots of mindset hacks for starting small. But if you have something you want to do, just start, just do it. But don't do it with, I'm going to say, like, don't do it with comparing yourself to this massive end result that someone else has accomplished. Start and do it because you want to love the process and you just want to be a doer of the thing. Instead of saying, oh, I'm going to work out because I want to have a six pack and be on the cover of Fitness magazine. Said just say, no, I want to be a person who works out. I'm a person who gets up and I work out every single day, and therefore I have the body that I want. But it's really more of a mindset hack, and that would be the king move that I would leave people with today.
Love it. I'm not going to add another one to the mix. I think that's it. Let's get started and keep moving. That's it. Keep started. Right. Get started and keep moving.
Yeah, and go watch documentaries. If there's somebody you admire, watch documentaries and go back to their early life. Don't compare yourself to the end version of them today. Look at where they started out and model your steps after that. That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Quick favor before we go. If this episode made you think differently or helped you see your next move more clearly, take 30 seconds and leave us a review. It helps the show reach leaders who need these conversations. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything.
Take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum. And if you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for the next breakthrough. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations.
Until next time.